So today we're booking a trip to Europe. We're going to London to see Harry Potter. I heard he actually really exists. So I got a ticket to.
The
You
Cursed
know more
Child.
about this. I just bought
We're
it.
going to the Harry Potter play. Third
Um,
row seats, August 24th.
Boom. So we're gonna show you kind of how we book our travel on the cheap.
With a little help from our friends.
Yeah.
Slash family slash expert brother-in-law.
Whenever we're doing travel, we've traveled a lot. We've been to like 32 countries. I think you've
I
been.
haven't been to that many.
You've been to
Over
up there.
25.
Yeah. So, done a lot of travel and booked a lot of flights. We've done a lot. First and foremost, working through credit card miles is really awesome if you have the accountability of paying that off every month.
Yep. Don't
But,
swap that joker.
Yeah, it's super easy. You just get a lot of points, and we've traveled free to a lot of places.
We actually went to Chris's birthday party for free in Norway.
In Norway for free. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk. I actually talked to Chris a little bit.
From our miles.
We talked to Chris, just kind of getting some pointers and talk to you about this. So we're gonna talk to him in a second. So here you go.
Wages
Are we
now.
periscoping like right now?
Yeah, live to the world. Yeah,
not
so
live right now.
we're going to Europe
Cool.
and right after World Domination Summit, late August or something. So
Awesome.
we kind of wanted to know when you're going international travel, what's the first site you kind of go to check out tickets? My goal
Okay,
is to get them as cheap as possible.
As cheap as possible. I assume your goal is not to pay as much money as possible. That's probably everybody's goal is to pay as cheap as possible. So for international, maybe one of the first things I will do is just look at like what is the base fare. So I'll do that with Google Flights, google.com/flights, and just see what comes up. And they actually have a pretty good calendar feature now where you can see like, okay, if I leave a couple of days early, a couple of days late, like it's going to change. And that will just give you a good indication of like what is market value, what is the market fare, and maybe it's actually quite reasonable, and then you book it. But of course, if it's not, then you're like, okay, what can I do that's better? I'm a big believer, as you know, in frequent flyer miles, and I try to maintain a mile and points balance in like a lot of different programs so that I have options. Because a lot of people, if they have miles, they're like, oh, I checked and there's no availability. Well, I have miles in lots of different airlines, so I can check and see, okay, if this doesn't work, maybe this will work. Right. And when I'm checking on availability, it's always good to check from like the hub city to the hub city. Okay, so it's like, where are you going in Europe? Where's your destination?
London, basically.
Okay, London, easy, right? So you guys fly out of the great Muscle Shoals, Florence Airport.
Yeah, it's
Probably
international.
It has like one flight a week or something. Yeah, it might be good to.
It might get canceled.
Right, search like Atlanta, London, New York, London, Chicago, London, like search like that. On the assumption if you find availability, you can probably figure out how to get your connection from Nashville or Huntsville or wherever else. So that's definitely something that I would do.
What is so you told me about Skip Lagged, which is an app and also a site.
Yeah.
Like, and its whole deal is like searching hidden cities. What does that mean?
Yeah, so hidden city ticketing has been around for a long time, but it's a confusing concept and most people don't know how to use it. Hidden city ticketing is reflective of the fact that airlines don't price their routes based on distance. Like you would think it would cost more to go further than it is to go close, but it's all based on market value essentially. And so they know like travelers going from New York to Chicago, that's a very common business route. And so people are going to pay more for those tickets than New York to Omaha, for example, or New York to Tulsa or wherever. Like those are more leisure routes. And so with the way hidden city ticketing works is, if you're going New York to Chicago, for example, you might book a ticket New York to Tulsa, for example, connecting in Chicago. And then when you reach Chicago, your first destination, your first stop, you just get off the plane, you just leave the airport and you're just done. And the reason you do that is because the ticket then might be cheaper actually, New York, Tulsa, so you've just saved $100 or $50 or whatever. So that's the concept. The thing is, most people don't know like, oh, I should search for this other city instead of where I'm actually going. And so what Skiplagged has done has just made it very, very easy for consumers because they can just go on skiplagged.com or download the app. It's all totally free. And they're going to type in their actual destination, their actual departure and their actual destination. And then Skiplag is going to search like all this other stuff that you wouldn't know how to search and say, here's actually an opportunity, for you to save, however much money. So the only thing you need to know about it is, go ahead.
It's good between hubs, really, only.
In particular, it's good between hubs. You might sometimes find another deal, but in particular, yes. I was just going to say the only thing to be aware is you can't check bags if you do this, because your bags will always be checked to your final destination. So in this example, your bags will be checked to Oklahoma City or Tulsa or wherever, and you're going to Chicago. So that wouldn't work in that case. But I use this fairly frequently with domestic travel, and it can actually be a substantial savings.
Now, I understand if you, so on your return flight though, let's say we're going from Portland to Nashville, but via LAX. We wanted to get on in LAX, like, how do we do that? Does the airport care that you didn't make your first leg?
So all tickets are one way these days. If you ever actually book a round trip ticket, most of the time it's just combining two one-way fares. So you do actually need to make sure you actually book those flights as two one ways, because yes, if you miss any segment of your flight, then the whole rest of the itinerary will be canceled.
So always book it as a one way.
Yes.
For Skiplag. That's how it has to.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a question I had, because I'd always heard, like, it actually ran into this problem one time, is that I didn't make my first leg, and then, screwed up the entire trip.
Exactly. Everything else will be canceled. But on Skiplag, you can search for return fares, and it will just show you. Then when you actually go and purchase, you have to make sure you purchase them as one ways. Yeah. But it will show you the total price, so it's not like you have to do a second step to see the total price. Gotcha. I did this. Here's a real world example. Like on the book tour, when I saw you guys in Nashville or Atlanta, Nashville, I think, right? So, I flew from Nashville to Atlanta the next day, which is like a 30-minute flight or whatever. I just didn't want to drive the 4 hours. That's a very expensive fare normally, because people fly, between Nashville and Atlanta. They just do that because they have to or something. So it was like $400, for this very, very short flight. But I did the hidden city ticketing trick, and I think it was, Nashville to Washington, D.C., via Atlanta, of course, and it dropped it to like $150, right? So $400 to $100. That was an extreme example. It's not always like that, but that was pretty good. So
awesome.
You have to remember that you're not actually going to that city, which is because I'm kind of absent-minded. I'm always flying like every day, and so first of all, I worried that I made a mistake. Like when I look at my phone, it's like check in for your trip to DC. I'm like, oh, not actually going there. And then you have to make sure you don't actually take that connection.
That's hilarious.
That would be hard if it was the same plane, sometimes where you don't have to deplane,
Right, yeah, you gotta make sure you deplane.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we're gonna try to book our tickets today to London. So.
Okay, awesome. Let me know how it goes.
Okay, so as Chris said, we're gonna use all the sites and actually then some a little bit to kind of see what we can get. So the first thing we did is we pull up Skiplag, which we talked about. And we pulled up, we're flying out of Nashville, because Nashville, we've absolutely found out, is the cheapest airport closest to us, even over Atlanta sometimes.
Most consistently, yeah.
Absolutely. So with Skiplag, we found a flight from Nashville to Riyadh. I don't even know where that is. It looks to be somewhere, I don't know. Regardless,
I'm sure it's awesome.
This is one of those flights that he said we can't check any bags because it goes from Nashville to Chicago, Chicago to London, London to Bahrain to Riyadh. So really, we would just get off in London, not worry about anything else. And then on the flight home, we would take WestJet from London to Nashville, but we could check bags on the flight home. Tira has told us that she's checking a bag for this trip.
I am.
So this looks to not be an option. Although this is $2,296 for 2 adults.
Round trip.
That's pretty good from what we've done. All right, let's jump over to Priceline. Priceline per person, we're looking at around $1,436 times 2. That's definitely not the cheapest thus far.
28.
Which
we used kayak.com, and that's what brought Priceline up as well. So we didn't have to do all these individually necessarily.
Now, Kayak, which used to be our go-to before Google, says $968. Now, I put for 2 travelers. I don't know. I think that's individual, but we're gonna investigate this. It says $1935 total. Okay, but that takes us to a totally different site, which is Kiwi. I've never heard of it. We're going to look into it. It brings us here. Here's that flight from Nashville to London and back.
I like this flight personally because it gives us a 19-hour layover in Orlando, which if we plan things right, maybe that means I would get to actually go to Harry Potter World, which I've never done.
Yeah. So that's for, we'll check that out. We go over to Google Flights, and I love Google Flights because it just kind of searches everything for you, and it's really amazing. It gives you tips on maybe when to return earlier or later based on prices.
And you can put multiple.
Yeah, so check this out. You can put in B&A, which is Nashville, HSV, Huntsville, but we could also say nearby airports. Might as well check Muscle Shoals, Chattanooga, Birmingham. Like, why not? And then obviously, as we've seen, Nashville is by far going to be the cheapest we found. So we're sticking with Nashville. But also check in, if you type in for London, just type in LON and it says United Kingdom, all airports. There's like 4 airports in London. So it'll just check it all for us. Thank you, Google.
Kiwi.com. If you have an existing booking, please have your booking number ready. If your scheduled departure is due to depart within the next 48 hours, or if
What are you most excited about going to London for?
Spending time with you, hanging out, flying.
He loves to fly.
Oh, I know.
Oh my gosh. He could spend all day in an airport.
Pretty much. I mean, you have food, bathrooms. Like, what else would you need?
Good point.
What are you looking forward to?
Sleep. All night long. I cannot wait. Our babies are not sleeping right now.
So you're going to go all into London to sleep.
I'll go wherever it takes to get some sleep right now.
There's a lot cheaper way to do this.
No, I'm super excited about seeing the play. Of course, I'm excited. We love, I haven't been to Europe since I was pregnant with Olive, so 2013. I haven't been since 2013. My travel has halted dramatically since I had kids. And so I traveled a lot domestically, but I'm so excited to be somewhere else where people don't sound like me. And with my accent, I guess I could go a lot of places.
Everywhere except for the South.
Well, people really sound different. And eat some good food and just explore. We love exploring new places. That's something that keeps our marriage youthful. It's just having adventures with each other. And so I'm excited about that. Can't wait.
Boom. Hello, London.